Dong-ho checked his brother's uniform for the fifth time. He brushed away a small bit of dust from Sun-woo's shoulder. "Stop it," Sun-woo said with a smile. "I look fine." "You represent all of Earth today," Dong-ho said. "You need to look perfect." The brothers stood in the waiting area of Mars Station 1. Through the large window, the red planet hung below them. This space station was built halfway between Earth and Mars. It was the perfect neutral place to meet aliens for the first time. Dong-ho was a xenobiologist. That meant he studied alien life. For years, he had only studied samples and data. Today would be different. Today, he would meet real aliens. Inside a small carrier at his feet, something moved. A small black head poked out. "Bomi wants out," Sun-woo said, looking at the cat. "She stays in her carrier," Dong-ho said firmly. The Vol might see pets as a sign of weakness. The cat, Bomi, had special enhancements. Many pets did these days. She was smarter than normal cats. She understood more words. She could solve simple puzzles. But she was still a cat, and today was not a day for cats. "Why did you even bring her?" Sun-woo asked. "I couldn't leave her alone for 3 days," Dong-ho said. "And she's good company on the flight." A soft bell rang. It was time. Captain Yuna walked in. She led the security team for the meeting. "Are we ready?" she asked. Both brothers nodded. Dong-ho picked up Bomi's carrier. The group walked down the long white hall toward the meeting room. "Remember," Yuna said as they walked, "no sudden movements. The Vol are very formal. Follow the plan exactly." The doors to the main hall slid open. Dong-ho's heart beat fast. After years of signals and messages, humans would finally meet the Vol face to face. The aliens were already inside. They looked like tall insects. They stood on 4 back legs. Their 2 front limbs were more like arms, with 3 fingers each. Their heads had large eyes on the sides and small moving parts near their mouths. But it was what stood next to them that made Dong-ho freeze. Large animals flanked the Vol. They looked like wolves, but much bigger. Their fur was a deep blue-black. Their 6 legs ended in sharp claws. Their mouths showed rows of teeth. "Those are Draknar," whispered Yuna. "They're war beasts. We knew they were bringing them. But I didn't think they would be so big." Dong-ho felt Bomi move in her carrier. She was looking at the beasts with wide eyes. The head Vol stepped forward. Its shell gleamed under the lights. It made clicking sounds, and a device on its chest translated. "We greet the humans of Earth. I am High Commander Traz." Sun-woo stepped forward as planned. He was younger than Dong-ho, but had a natural way with words. That's why he was chosen as the speaker. "We welcome you to Mars Station 1. Sun-woo said with a small bow. "I am Sun-woo, speaking for Earth today." The meeting continued. They exchanged gifts. They talked about trade and knowledge. Everything was going well. Then Sun-woo raised his hand to point at a star chart. The Vol translator made a sharp sound. The High Commander stepped back quickly. The Draknar nearest to him tensed. "No," shouted the translator. "That gesture means death to our leader." Before anyone could explain, the largest Draknar leaped forward. It moved faster than seemed possible for its size. Yuna's team reached for their weapons, but they were too slow. The beast hit Sun-woo full force. Its teeth sank into his chest. Blood sprayed across the white floor. Dong-ho screamed. He dropped Bomi's carrier. He ran toward his brother, but 2 guards held him back. The beast shook Sun-woo like a rag doll. When it let go, Sun-woo fell to the floor. He wasn't moving. The room erupted in chaos. Security teams from both sides pulled out weapons. The Vol made high-pitched sounds of alarm. And in her carrier, Bomi watched everything. Her eyes never left the Draknar that attacked. Her tail twitched in an odd pattern. Dong-ho broke free and ran to his brother. He knew it was too late. Sun-woo's eyes stared at nothing. First contact had gone very, very wrong. 3 years passed since that terrible day on Mars Station 1. 3 years since Dong-ho watched his brother die. The apartment was small and dark. Dong-ho liked it that way. He sat by the window, looking out at the Seoul skyline. The city lights blinked in the evening fog. Bomi jumped onto his lap. The black cat was older now, but still moved like a kitten. She pushed her head against his hand until he pet her. "You're the only one who understands," Dong-ho whispered. After the incident, Earth and the Vol had made peace. They called what happened a tragic miscommunication. The Vol sent gifts. Earth sent apologies. Everyone wanted to move on. Everyone except Dong-ho. He had quit his job as a xenobiologist. Now he just existed. He collected his government pay and stayed in his apartment with Bomi. The door buzzer rang. Dong-ho ignored it. It rang again, longer this time. "Go away," he said to the empty room. His phone lit up. A message appeared. "Open the door, Dong-ho. It's important." He recognized the name. Yuna, the security captain from that day. He hadn't seen her since the funeral. With a deep sigh, he walked to the door and opened it. Yuna stood there in a crisp uniform. Her hair was shorter now. Her eyes were still sharp. "You look terrible," she said. "Thank you for the update," Dong-ho replied. He didn't invite her in. She pushed past him anyway. "We need to talk." Bomi watched the visitor from her perch on the couch. Her tail twitched in that strange pattern Dong-ho had first noticed on the day Sunwoo died. "What do you want?" Dong-ho asked. He didn't offer Yuna a seat. "The Vol are coming to Earth," she said. "An official delegation. The first since the incident." Dong-ho's stomach tightened. "Why tell me? I don't work for the government anymore." "Because it's the same delegation," Yuna said. Her voice was soft but firm. "Including Krell, the handler whose Draknar killed Sunwoo." The room seemed to spin. Dong-ho grabbed the wall to steady himself. "Why?" he managed to ask. "They say it's to honor Sunwoo's memory, to show there are no hard feelings." Yuna's face showed what she thought of that idea. "The real reason is trade. The Vol have technology we want. They want minerals we have." Dong-ho walked to the window again. "I still don't see why you're here. The Interspecies Diplomatic Corps needs you back," Yuma said. "You're the best xenobiologist we have. You understand the Vol better than anyone." "No," Dong-ho said. The word came out like a gunshot. Yuna placed a folder on his table. "They'll be here in 10 days. At New Seoul Tower. Think about it." She walked to the door but stopped. She looked at Bomi, who was staring at her with unblinking eyes. "That cat is strange," Yuna said. "She always watches like she understands everything." "She's enhanced," Dong-ho said. "All pets are these days." "Not like her," Yuna replied. "I've seen enhanced pets. She's different." After Yuna left, Dong-ho picked up the folder. Inside was an official letter asking him to join the diplomatic team. There was also a security badge with his picture. They had expected him to say yes. He was about to throw it all in the trash when a photo caught his eye. It showed the Vol delegation. In the front row stood a tall Vol with distinctive shell markings. Next to him was a massive Draknar with a scar across its muzzle. Dong-ho recognized them both. The Vol was Krell. The beast was the one that had torn Sunwoo apart. Bomi jumped onto the table. She put her paw on the photo, right on the image of the Draknar. "You remember too, don't you?" Dong-ho whispered. The cat made a low sound in her throat. Not quite a growl, not quite a purr. Dong-ho looked at the badge again. Maybe it was time to leave this apartment. Not to help with diplomacy, not for peace. For something else. He picked up his phone and called Yuna. "I'll do it," he said when she answered. "I'll join the team." What he didn't say was why. He didn't mention the dream he'd had every night for 3 years. The dream where he watched the life drain from the eyes of the beast that killed his brother. Dong-ho hung up and looked at Bomi. "We're going to meet an old enemy," he told her. "And this time, We'll be ready. The new Seoul Diplomatic Center stood tall against the morning sky. Its glass walls reflected the sunrise. People hurried in and out through the main doors. Dong-ho stood across the street, watching. He wore a clean suit for the first time in years. In one hand, he held Bomi's carrier. In the other, his security badge. "Are we really doing this?" he asked the cat. Bomi made a small sound in response. Her green eyes looked up at him through the carrier door. Taking a deep breath, Dong-ho crossed the street and entered the building. Inside, security scanners checked him and Bomi. A young woman in a blue uniform approached. "Dr. Kim Dong-ho," she asked. "I'm Jin. I'll show you to your office." They took an elevator to the 15th floor. Jin talked the whole way about how honored they were to have him back. Dong-ho barely listened. His mind was on what waited for him upstairs. His new office was large and bright. One wall was all windows. On his desk sat the latest research equipment. Everything he needed to study alien biology. "The Vol delegation arrives at noon," Jin said. "There's a welcome meeting in the main hall. Captain Yuma asked me to remind you to be there." After Jin left, Dong-ho set Bomi's carrier on the floor and opened it. The cat stepped out slowly, sniffing the air. She walked around the room, checking everything. Dong-ho turned on his computer and searched for information about the Vol delegation. He found what he was looking for quickly, a file on Krell and his Draknar beast. A knock at the door interrupted his reading. When he looked up, Yuna stood there. "You came," she said. She sounded surprised. "I said I would." Yuna walked in and closed the door. She looked different in her formal uniform. Sad, somehow. "There's something you should know," she said. "I'm not just security for this visit. I'm the lead human representative." Dong-ho raised an eyebrow. "You've moved up in the world." "After what happened to Sunwoo, I made it my mission to understand the Vol," she said. "I wanted to make sure nothing like that ever happened again." She noticed Bomi exploring the room. "I see you brought your shadow." "She goes where I go," Dong-ho said. Yuna checked her watch. "It's almost time. We should go down to the main hall." The main hall was filled with people. Diplomats, scientists, and security personnel stood in small groups, talking quietly. A large platform was set up at the front of the room. Dong-ho and Yuma found their places near the front. Bomi sat quietly in her carrier at Dong-ho's feet. A loud tone sounded, and the room fell silent. The main doors opened. The Vol delegation entered. 10 tall insectoid aliens walked in perfect formation. Behind each one walked a Draknar beast. The creatures moved with deadly grace, their 6 legs making no sound on the polished floor. Dong-ho's eyes locked on one particular pair. The Vol had distinctive red markings on his shell. The Draknar beside him had a scar across its muzzle. Krell and his beast. Inside her carrier, Bomi began to make a strange sound. Not quite a growl, not quite a purr. Her tail twitched in that odd pattern. Yuna stepped forward to greet the aliens. She spoke the formal welcome in the Vol language, her pronunciation perfect. The lead Vol responded with clicks and whistles. His translator device turned the sounds into human speech. "We thank Earth for this welcome. We hope this visit brings our worlds closer together." The formalities continued, but Dong-ho wasn't listening. He was watching Krell's Draknar. The beast's 6-eyed gaze swept the room until it stopped, suddenly fixed on Bomi's carrier. The Draknar's mouth opened slightly. A low rumble came from its throat. Krell noticed his beast's reaction. The Vol turned his head, following the Draknar's gaze until he saw Dong-ho. For a moment, their eyes met. Dong-ho felt a chill run through him. There was no remorse in those alien eyes. No recognition. No feeling at all. After the ceremony, there was a reception. Dong-ho stood alone, watching the Vol mix with the humans. Yuna was busy with diplomatic talk. Someone touched his arm. He turned to find Krell standing there. "You are the brother," the Vol said through his translator. "The brother of the one who died." Dong-ho's heart pounded in his chest. Yes, a regrettable incident, Krell said. His voice was flat. In our culture, perceived threats to leadership must be eliminated immediately. Your brother made the gesture of death. It was a misunderstanding, Dong-ho said through clenched teeth. Yes, Krell agreed. A misunderstanding. But necessary. You understand necessity, don't you, scientist? Before Dong-ho could answer, Krell walked away, his Draknar following close behind. At Dong-ho's feet, Bomi's eyes never left the beast. Dong-ho couldn't sleep. The meeting with Krell kept playing in his mind. A regrettable incident. The Vol had called Sun Wu's death, like it was nothing more than spilled water. He sat up in bed. It was past midnight. His apartment in the diplomatic housing area was too quiet. Something moved in the darkness. Dong-ho turned on the small lamp by his bed. Bomi wasn't in her usual spot at the foot of his bed. He looked around the room and saw her by the door. She was pawing at it, wanting to get out. "What's wrong?" he asked. The cat looked at him, then back at the door. Dong-ho got up and opened it. Bomi slipped out into the hallway. Curious, he followed her. The cat moved quickly through the dark halls. Dong-ho had to hurry to keep up. She led him down to the lower level of the building, then to a small maintenance door. Bomi squeezed through a gap in the door. Dong-ho had to use his security badge to open it. Inside was a narrow tunnel with pipes running along the walls. The cat had stopped a few meters ahead. She was doing something in a small corner. When Dong-ho got closer, he couldn't believe what he saw. Bomi had gathered small electronic parts, pieces of wire, tiny chips, and bits of metal. She was pushing them together, forming some kind of device. "What are you doing?" he whispered. Enhanced cats were smart, but not this smart. They couldn't build things. Yet here was Bomi, clearly working on something with purpose. The cat looked up at him, then went back to her work. Her paws moved with surprising skill, pushing pieces together. Dong-ho watched for an hour, amazed. When Bomi finally stepped back, a small device sat on the floor. It had a blinking light and seemed to be sending some kind of signal. He picked it up carefully. It was warm and humming softly. "We need to go back," he told Bomi, "before someone finds us." Back in his apartment, Dong-ho examined the device. It was unlike anything he had seen before. He couldn't figure out what it did or how Bomi had built it. He fell asleep late, the device hidden in a drawer beside his bed. The next morning, Dong-ho went to his office early. He needed to think about what he had seen. What was Bomi doing? And why? Yuna found him there, staring out the window. "We have a problem," she said. "The Vol are upset. Their Draknar are acting strange." Dong-ho turned to face her. "Strange how?" "They're restless. Agitated, especially when they're near this building." Yuna looked worried. "Krell said something is disturbing them. He's demanding we move their quarters." A thought hit Dong-ho. Could it be Bomi's device? But how would that affect the Draknar? "I'll look into it," he said. After Yuna left, Dong-ho searched for information on Draknar biology. There wasn't much in the human database. The Vol kept many secrets about their war beasts. At lunchtime, he went to the medical lab. All visitors to Earth had to have health checks. That included the Vol and their Draknar. Dr. Park, the head doctor, was an old friend. "Can I see the Draknar health reports?" Dong-ho asked him. "Why?" Dr. Park looked suspicious. "Just curious. Professional interest." Dr. Park handed him a tablet. "Don't tell anyone I showed you." The reports were basic. Body temperature, heart rate, brain activity. Nothing unusual. But when Dong-ho looked at the brain scans, something caught his eye. The patterns were strange. Not like normal animal brains. They showed activity in areas that shouldn't exist in simple beasts. He needed a closer look, a real sample. That evening, Dong-ho watched the Vol quarters from a distance. The Draknar were taken outside for exercise each day at sunset. Krell's beast was always the last to return inside. As the sun went down, Dong-ho saw his chance. The beasts were let out one by one. Their handlers held control rods that seemed to direct their movements. Dong-ho waited until all the Vol were focused on a training exercise. Then he moved closer, medical sampler in hand. Krell's Draknar was at the edge of the group. Dong-ho approached slowly from behind. He needed just one sample, one piece of fur or skin. The beast suddenly turned, its 6 eyes fixed on Dong-ho. He froze. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Then, strangely, the Draknar lowered its head. It held still, as if waiting. Dong-ho couldn't believe his luck. He quickly took a small skin sample and backed away. The Draknar watched him go. Its eyes seemed almost aware. That night, in his private lab, Dong-ho examined the sample. What he found made his blood run cold. The Draknar wasn't just an animal. Its cells contained synthetic parts, tiny machines, and its neural tissue had patterns he recognized from his studies. Human patterns. Dong-ho didn't leave his lab all night. He ran test after test on the Draknar sample. Each result made him more shocked. The morning sun was rising when he finally sat back in his chair. He rubbed his tired eyes. "This can't be right," he whispered to himself. But the evidence was clear on his screens. The Draknar weren't natural animals. They were made things, created with both organic parts and tiny machines. Even more disturbing were the neural patterns. Dong-ho had studied human brain patterns for years. He knew what they looked like, and the patterns in the Draknar tissue were partly human. Someone knocked on the lab door. Dong-ho quickly shut off his screens. "Come in," he called. It was Yuna. She looked tired too. "You've been here all night," she said. It wasn't a question. Dong-ho nodded. "I found something." "What?" He hesitated. Could he trust her? Yuna had been close to Sunwoo once, but now she was the lead diplomat. Her job was to make peace with the Vol. "I need to show you," he said finally. "But not here. Tonight. In my apartment." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. "Okay. 10 o'clock. After she left, Dong-ho went back to his apartment. Bomi was sitting by the window, watching the Vol building across the garden. "I know what you've been doing," Dong-ho told the cat. "You knew about the Draknar, didn't you? Somehow you knew." Bomi turned to look at him. Her green eyes seemed to hold a secret. Dong-ho took out the device the cat had built. He studied it again. Now he understood what it was. A signal device. It was sending something to the Draknar. That's why they were agitated. But how did Bomi know to build it? Enhanced cats were smart, but not this smart. Dong-ho's door buzzer rang. It was only 9 o'clock. Too early for Yuna. He checked the screen. It was Jin, the young woman who had shown him to his office on the first day. "Dr. Kim," she said when he opened the door. "Captain Yuna sent me. The Vol want to see you." "Why?" Dong-ho asked. Jin shook her head. "I don't know, but it seemed urgent." Dong-ho felt uneasy. "Tell them I'll come tomorrow." "They're waiting now," Jin insisted, "in the main meeting room." Dong-ho knew he couldn't refuse without causing problems. "Fine. Let me get my badge." He put Bomi in her carrier. "You're coming too," he told her. "I don't trust leaving you alone right now." The main meeting room was large and cold. 3 Vol waited inside, standing around the big table. One of them was Krell. "Dr. Kim," Krell said through his translator. "Thank you for coming." Dong-ho placed Bomi's carrier on the floor beside him. "What is this about?" "Our Draknar," Krell said. "They are still troubled. We think you might know why." "How would I know?" Dong-ho asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Krell moved closer. "You took a sample from my beast yesterday." Dong-ho's heart beat faster. "That was for research. Standard procedure." "No," Krell said. "It was not standard. No one told you to do this." The other 2 Vol moved to block the door. Dong-ho realized he was trapped. "What are the Draknar?" he asked suddenly. They're not natural animals, are they? Krill's body went very still. What do you mean? I found human neural patterns in your beast, Dongo said. How is that possible? For a long moment, no one moved. Then Krill spoke. The Draknar are sacred to us, he said. They are gifts from our ancestors. They're weapons, Dongo said, made with parts from other species, including humans. Inside her carrier, Bomi made a strange sound. The device in Dongo's pocket started to hum louder. Krill's head tilted. You are close to the truth, human, but not close enough. One of the other Vol moved toward Dongo. In his hand was a small silver rod. We cannot let you share these theories, Krill said. It would damage our new friendship with Earth. Dongho backed away. What are you going to do? Just a small adjustment to your memory, Krill said. You won't feel a thing. The door burst open. Yuna stood there with 2 security guards. What's happening here? She demanded. Krill turned smoothly. A private discussion. Nothing more. Yuna looked at Dongo. Are you okay? He nodded, relief washing over him. The meeting is over, Yuna told the Vol. Please return to your quarters. After they left, Yuna turned to Dongo. What was that about? I need to show you something, he said. Now. As they walked to his lab, Dongo felt Bomi shift in her carrier. The cat was looking at him with those knowing eyes. I think I know what happened to Sunwoo, he whispered. In Dongho's lab, Yuna stared at the screen in shock. The images showed the strange mix of organic cells and tiny machines from the Draknar sample. This can't be real, she whispered. It is, Dongo said. The Draknar aren't natural animals. They're made things, weapons. He clicked to the next image. It showed neural pattern comparisons. These are human brain patterns, he explained, and these are from the Draknar. See the match. Yuna leaned closer. How is this possible? I think the Vol are taking neural maps from other species, copying parts of their brains into the Draknar. Dongo's voice shook slightly. That's what makes the beasts so smart, so good at following orders. Yuna sat down heavily. We need to tell Earth Command about this. There's more, Dongo said. He opened Bomi's carrier and took her out. The cat sat calmly on the lab table. Show her, Bomi. The cat just looked at him. The device, Dongo said. He took out the small machine Bomi had built. She made this. It sends signals that only the Draknar can hear. That's why they've been agitated. Yuna frowned. Cats don't build devices, even enhanced ones. I know. I think. Dongo paused. The idea seemed crazy, but nothing else made sense. I think Bomi recognized something in the Draknar, something familiar. What do you mean? These neural patterns aren't from random humans, Dongo said quietly. I compared them to medical records. They match my brother. Sunwoo's brain patterns are inside that Draknar. Yuna stood up so fast her chair fell over. That's not possible. The Draknar killed Sunwoo. What if it also took part of him? What if that's what they do? But your cat, how would she know? Dongho stroked Bomi's back. She was there when it happened. Enhanced animals have better senses than we do. She must have sensed the connection. Yuna paced the small lab. Even if this is true, Earth Command won't believe us. Not without absolute proof. The trade agreements with the Vol are worth billions. Then we need better proof, Dongho said. He looked at the device Bomi had made. And I think I know how to get it. That night, Dongo worked in his lab. He built a larger version of Bomi's device. The cat watched him, sometimes pushing parts into place with her paw. You want to talk to him, don't you? Dongho whispered. To whatever is left of Sunwoo inside that beast. Outside, rain began to fall. Lightning flashed across the sky. A soft knock on the door made Dongo jump. It was Yuna. Security picked up unusual activity in this sector, she said. They're sending a team to check. How long do we have? 10 minutes, maybe less. Dong-ho quickly packed his equipment. We need to test this tonight, while the Draknar are sleeping. They moved through the dark building, Bomi leading the way. The cat seemed to know exactly where to go. At the far end of the complex was the special building where the Vol and their beasts stayed. 2 guards stood at the entrance. "I'll handle this," Yuna said. She walked up to the guards and showed her badge. "Security check. There's been an alert." While she distracted them, Dong-ho and Bomi slipped around to a side entrance. His security badge let them in. Inside, the halls were dim and smelled strange. They moved quietly past sleeping quarters where Vol rested in their strange hanging pods. At the end of the hall was a large room. Inside, the Draknar lay on special platforms. 6 beasts, each one massive and deadly even in sleep. Dong-ho spotted Krell's beast immediately, the scared one that had killed Sunwoo. Bomi jumped from his arms and walked straight to the beast. She showed no fear. Dong-ho set up his device near the Draknar's head. He attached small sensors to its skull. The machine hummed to life. On the small screen, patterns began to form. Neural signals, being received and translated. Words appeared. "Help me." Dong-ho's heart nearly stopped. More words followed. "Turape. Many of us, not just me." "Sunwoo," Dong-ho whispered. "PCs, far immense, harvested." Dong-ho's hands shook as he typed. "How?" The response came slowly. "They take, when kill, neural patterns. Cotton Sikuo uses needs, fragmentus, use US." A noise at the door made Dong-ho turn. Krell stood there, his alien eyes glowing in the dim light. "I knew you would come," the Vol said. "You are too curious, Dr. Kim. Too smart for your own good." Behind Krell, more Vol appeared. And with them, fully awake Draknar, eyes fixed on Dong-ho and Bomi. "Step away from the Draknar," Krell said. His voice was cold through the translator. Dong-ho stood his ground. "I know what you've done, what you're doing to these beings." The Vol moved into the room. 4 of them now. Behind them, 3 Draknar waited, teeth showing. "You know nothing," Krell said. "The Draknar are sacred to us. They have been our companions for 1,000 years." Companions. Dong-ho couldn't keep the anger from his voice. "You put pieces of other beings inside them. You trap consciousness fragments in these bodies." Krell's head tilted slightly. "You are more clever than we thought. But it doesn't matter now." One of the other Vol raised a small device. "We can fix this problem." A sound at the door made everyone turn. Yuna stood there with 5 security guards, all holding weapons. "Drop that device," she ordered the Vol. "Everyone stay still." For a tense moment, no one moved. Then Krell made a clicking sound. The other Vol lowered their hands. "This is a misunderstanding," Krell said. "We found this human trespassing. We were simply going to escort him out." "Save it," Yuna said. She looked at Dong-ho. "Get your things. We're leaving." Dong-ho quickly packed up his device. Bomi jumped into his arms. Before they left, he glanced back at the Draknar. The beast's eyes were following him. Back in Dong-ho's apartment, Yuna paced back and forth. "This is bad. Really bad." "We have proof now," Dong-ho said. "We can show Earth Command what the Vol are doing." Yuna shook her head. "It's not that simple. The trade agreements are worth too much, and the Vol will just deny everything." "Then what do we do?" Dong-ho asked. "Just let them get away with it." Yuna stopped pacing. "We need to free the consciousness fragments. Release whatever is left of Sunwoo and the others." "How?" "Your device," she said. "It can communicate with the fragments. Can you make it do more? Can you free them somehow?" Dong-ho thought for a moment. "Maybe. If I can boost the signal, I might be able to break the Vol's control. At least temporarily." "For how long?" "A minute. Maybe 2. Not long. Yuna nodded. That might be enough. Tomorrow is the final ceremony. All 12 species will be there. If we can free the Draknar then, everyone will see the truth. It's risky, Dongho said. The Vol will be watching us now. We have no choice, Yuna replied. The Vol delegation leaves the next day. This is our only chance. They worked through the night. Dongho modified his device, making it stronger. Bomi stayed close, sometimes pushing parts into place, as if she knew exactly what they needed. She's helping again, Yuna noticed. How does she know what to do? I think the enhanced animals are more connected to their people than we realized, Dongho said. Bomi and I have been together for years. Maybe she just understands me. By morning, the device was ready. It was still small enough to hide in a pocket, but much more powerful. This will disrupt the control signals the Vol use, Dongho explained, and it will boost the consciousness fragments, giving them some control. For how long? Yuna asked again. Not long, but maybe long enough for them to speak. Yuna's phone beeped. She checked it and frowned. The ceremony starts in 2 hours. And there's a problem. Security is tight. They're checking everyone for devices. Then how do we get this in? Dongho held up the device. Yuna looked at Bomi. No one checks pets. An hour later, they were getting ready. Dongho placed a tiny version of the device in Bomi's collar. The cat sat still, allowing him to secure it. You know what to do, don't you? He whispered to her. Bomi blinked slowly at him. I'll go ahead, Yuna said. I have to be there early as head of the diplomatic team. You come with the science group. After she left, Dongho sat down next to Bomi. If this works, we might free whatever is left of Sunwoo. But it's dangerous. The Vol won't let this go. The cat placed her paw on his hand. You've known all along, haven't you? He asked her. You recognize something of Sunwoo in that beast. Dongho picked up the picture of his brother from the table. Sunwoo was smiling in the photo, young and full of life. Let's do this, he said to Bomi. For Sunwoo, the grand hall was filled with beings from 12 different worlds. Tall aliens with blue skin stood next to short, furry creatures. Floating orbs of light hovered near humans in formal clothes. It was the biggest gathering of species ever held on Earth. Dongho stood at the back with the science team. Bomi's carrier sat at his feet. Through the small door, he could see the cat watching everything with alert eyes. At the front of the room, on a raised platform, sat the most important visitors from each world. The Vol delegation was front and center. Krell stood proudly next to the High Commander. Behind them, 6 Draknar waited in perfect formation. Dongho spotted Yuna on the platform too. She was wearing her formal uniform with all her medals. Her eyes briefly met his across the room. She gave a tiny nod. The Earth President walked to the center of the platform. The room went quiet. Today marks a historic moment, the President said. 12 worlds coming together in peace and cooperation. The treaties we signed today will benefit all our peoples for generations to come. People clapped politely. Dongho noticed the Vol delegates watching the crowd carefully. They seemed nervous. The ceremony continued. Each species leader made a short speech. When it was the Vol High Commander's turn, he spoke about strength and honor. The strong must lead. The translator spoke his words. This is the way of the universe. The Vol have been strong for 10,000 years. We will help Earth become strong too. While everyone watched the speeches, Dongho carefully opened Bomi's carrier. The cat slipped out and disappeared under the seats. No one noticed. The signing began. Each leader took turns signing the large treaty document. Music played softly in the background. Dongho checked his watch. Almost time. He looked around for Bomi, but couldn't see her. Had something gone wrong? Then he spotted her. The cat was making her way toward the platform, staying hidden in the shadows. No one was looking down at the floor. All eyes were on the signing ceremony. Bomi reached the base of the platform. She was now directly below where the Draknar stood in their row. The device in her collar was blinking rapidly. Dong Ho pressed a small button on his watch. The signal was sent. For a moment, nothing happened. The Vol High Commander was signing the treaty, his hand moving across the paper. Then one of the Draknar made a strange sound, a low whine that grew louder. The beast shook its head back and forth. People began to notice. Heads turned. All 6 Draknar were now moving, their bodies shaking. The Vol handlers tried to control them with their rods, but it wasn't working. "What's happening?" someone shouted. The largest Draknar, the one with the scar, Krill's beast, suddenly broke from the line. It moved to the front of the platform. Its mouth opened. A strange sound came out. Not an animal sound. Something else. "We speak," said a voice from the beast. It was coming through the room's translation system, but it wasn't the Vol language being translated. It was something else entirely. The room fell silent in shock. "We are many," the voice continued. "Fragments, pieces, taken when we died." The other Draknar moved forward too. More voices began to speak through them. "They kill. They take our minds. They trap us." The Vol delegation was in chaos. Krell was shouting orders. The High Commander backed away from the treaty table. "Lies," the High Commander shouted. "These are just beasts. Control them." But the Draknar were beyond control now. They formed a circle, facing outward toward the crowd. "We were people," the voices said together, "from many worlds. Killed, harvested, used." Dong Ho made his way forward through the stunned crowd. The voice coming from Krell's beast changed. It became familiar. "Brother," it said. And Dong Ho knew it was Sunwoo. What was left of him? The Vol security team moved toward the Draknar, weapons ready. Yuna stepped between them. "Stop. Everyone listen." She pointed at the beasts. "These are not just animals. The Vol have been stealing consciousness from other species, using them to make their war beasts smarter." The room erupted in shouts and questions. Representatives from all worlds turned to the Vol in horror. In the chaos, Dong Ho reached the platform. He stood before the scared Draknar, the beast that had killed his brother, but now carried a piece of him. "Sunwoo," he whispered. The beast looked at him with all 6 eyes. "Not all, just fragments. Memory, but enough to know you, to remember." Chaos filled the grand hall. Some people ran for the exits. Others pushed forward, trying to see what was happening. Security teams from all 12 worlds moved to protect their leaders. The Vol High Commander shouted at Krell in their clicking language. The translator was off, but their anger was clear. Through it all, Dong Ho stood face to face with the Draknar, with what remained of his brother. "I've been trying to find you," the voice from the beast said. "So long, trapped." "I'm here now," Dong Ho said. His eyes filled with tears. "I'm going to help you." Yuna pushed through the crowd to reach them. "Dong Ho, we don't have much time. The device will fail soon." As if hearing her words, the Draknar shuddered. The connection was weakening. "Listen," the voice said urgently. "Not just me. Hundreds, thousands, from many worlds. They take us when we die. They store our patterns. They use us." Krell broke free from the other Vol and ran toward them. "Enough," he shouted. He raised a control rod. Bomi, still hiding near the platform, jumped suddenly. She landed on Krell's arm, claws out. The Vol dropped the control rod with a cry of pain. The Earth President stepped forward. "I demand an explanation." She shouted over the noise. "What is happening here?" The Draknar turned as one to face the crowd. Their 6 eyes glowed with an inner light. "We will show you," they said together. The beasts' bodies began to project images into the air. Scenes played out like movies. Different worlds, different beings, all being killed by Vol, all having their heads connected to strange machines as they died. A gasp went through the crowd. Representatives from other worlds recognize their own people in these memories. This is what the Vol do, the voices said. They harvest consciousness from those they kill. They store the patterns. They use them to make their war beasts smarter, more deadly. The High Commander of the Vol tried to speak, but no one would listen now. Guards from 3 different worlds surrounded the Vol delegation. The largest Draknar, Krell's beast, started to shake violently. The device was failing. Not much time. Sun Wu's voice said to Dongo, "Thank you for finding me." "Don't go," Dongo pleaded. "We can fix this. We can get you out somehow." The beast's eyes seemed sad. "Not enough of me left. Just fragments. But enough to remember. Enough to help others." Bomi jumped onto Dongo's shoulder. She looked at the Draknar and made a soft sound. "Your cat," Sun Wu's voice said. She knew. She sensed me in this beast. Smart cat. The Draknar began to back away. The control was returning. Soon, they would be beasts again. "Remember me," Sun Wu's voice said. Then it was gone. The Draknar's eyes changed. The light faded. They became animals again, confused and scared in the noisy room. Security teams led the Vol delegation away. The Earth President called for calm. Slowly, order returned to the hall. 3 months later, Dongo sat in his new lab. It was bigger, with better equipment. After what happened at the ceremony, Earth and 11 other worlds formed a new alliance. Without the Vol, they created a special team to study the Draknar and find a way to free the trapped consciousness fragments. Dongho was the leader of this team. On his desk sat a small device. It looked like the one Bomi had built, but much more advanced. It allowed limited communication with the fragments inside the Draknar. "We're making progress," Dongo said. Bomi sat on his lap, purring. On the wall behind them hung a picture of Sun Wu. The door opened and Yuna walked in. "Good news," she said. "The Alliance approved the new technology. We can begin the extraction process next week." Dongho smiled. They couldn't bring back those who died. The fragments were too small, too broken, but they could give them a new kind of life, in special AI matrices where they could think and speak again. That evening, Dongho went home to his apartment. It was no longer dark and lonely. Pictures hung on the walls. Plants grew in the windows. He sat on his couch with Bomi beside him. Above the coffee table, a small hologram flickered to life. It showed a face, Sun Wu's face, not quite alive, but not gone either. "How was your day, brother?" the hologram asked. As Dongo began to tell him, Bomi purred loudly. She pushed her head against the hand that pet her content. She had done what cats always do. She had remembered her people. She had helped bring a kind of justice, and now her family was together again, in a new and different way. Outside, the stars shone down on Earth and 11 other worlds, now united by shared pain and hope. The Vol were gone, their crimes exposed. And across the galaxy, other species looked at their enhanced pets with new respect, wondering just how much these quiet companions truly understood.